Welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. For almost 2 years, the left has been resisting Donald Trump, yet he has stubbornly refused to stop being this country's democratically elected president. Unable to topple him from power by impeachment, arrest, harassment, or any other means so far, the left has not given up. They've just become angrier, by this point totally distorted by their rage. So mad that the usual epithets have lost their power from overuse. Nobody calls Trump a sexist anymore, or even a bigot. That is too kind. He's Mussolini, Stalin, Hitler, maybe all three of them combined, plus Jeffrey Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy. No, wait, that's not bad enough. He is a maniacal Roman emperor who murdered his own mother and burned his capital down. That sounds about right.
Trump is literally Nero while the West burns.
He's not well. That's the bottom line. That the President of the United States is completely unhinged and getting worse by the day.
The people we saw the other evening at that rally, if that's his base, it's deranged.
What we are watching in the Trump presidency is worse than Watergate.
Did you hear that? Worse than Watergate, says the man who hasn't worked since Watergate. Yes, it is that bad. The left wants Trump gone tonight, but for some unfathomable reason, he is still in the White House. You can imagine how frustrating that must be. So frustrating that progressives have shifted the focus of their anger from the president to the United States itself. Our country, they tell us, must be bulldozed to bedrock and rebuilt according to revolutionary principles approved by the undergraduate faculty at Oberlin College and, of course, by consensus on Twitter. Step one is inviting every poor person on planet Earth to move here tomorrow to go on federal benefits at your expense. Anything less than that is racism. Watch Angela Rye explain as much on CNN.
She's just so lovely.
This procedure is absolutely based on bigotry and fear-mongering. If you don't understand that your president announced his campaign by talking about building a wall to keep your president keeping, no, not mine. I will never claim a bigot, ever. I wish I could tell you where from Africa my ancestors came from, at least part of them, but I wouldn't know because the same bigots who are sending people back away from their children are the ones who brought my ancestors here on
then where?
Congratulations.
Yeah, let's not forget about tribal warfare that started all that kind of in the first place at its origin.
Is now exactly the same as slavery. That's what CNN is telling us. You may not believe that, but it is suddenly orthodoxy on the left. In New York State, for example, Zephyr Teachout promises that if elected Attorney General in this fall's election, she will start throwing ICE agents in prison.
ICE has to be abolished. And I say that as somebody who's running for one of the top law enforcement jobs in the country. And as Attorney General, I will continue to speak out against ICE. I will prosecute ICE for their criminal acts.
Typically black is flattering. It's not helping.
In other words, those who enforce the law are the real criminals, just like illegal aliens are the real Americans. And the citizens who work hard, get married, and raise their own kids are the ones who should be ashamed of themselves. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. Orwell saw it all 70 years ago. Suddenly, we are living it in real time. Dennis Prager is a radio show host, the founder of Prager University. He also just wrote a column, The Greatest Hysteria in American History.
You summarized what is the greatest hysteria in American history.
But it's just, well, I guess what bothers me, it's never bothered me if people don't like a politician, any politician. I don't like a lot of politicians.
Right.
But when the rage distorts the judgment of people who are supposed to be making responsible policy and they wind up telling us that the people who enforce the law are the real criminals, that can hurt your country.
Well, everything they're doing can hurt the country. I mean, calling the man a Nazi and all his supporters are Nazis, comparing the Helsinki conferences they did on MSNBC, for example, to Pearl Harbor and Kristallnacht. Kristallnacht was the opening of the Holocaust. As I wrote in my column, I think a lot of college-educated kids have no idea what the Holocaust or the Nazis were. So right now, I think for millions of young Americans, Nazi means a German Republican in the 1930s and 40s. That's the distortion. That's the evil that the left is perpetrating right now. And I might add, as a Jew, the silence of most Jewish communal groups on the desecration and trivialization of the Holocaust shows you how deep the roots of leftism are in communal life, in Jewish life, and for that matter, Protestant and Catholic life. It's a very, very serious moment we're living in.
As a literal person, I keep asking myself, how would I respond if I believed what they were saying? And I think people do believe what they're saying. So if you really thought there was a Nazi in the White House whose immigration policy was designed to hurt people on the basis of skin color, what wouldn't you do if you really thought that?
Right. Well, if you're consistent with your beliefs, I don't quite understand why you wouldn't try to murder the president and, for that matter, any Republican. A Nazi really, or at least be wounded, or at least be beaten. As Woody Allen has in one of his movies, they said, well, we should take the Nazis to court and so on. He said, actually, I think a baseball bat is far more effective. I think that is what we will see. And because that's what's logical. That's what you do to Nazis.
I guess the thing that surprises me the most, having lived in Washington most of my life, is the silence from the responsible Democrats. And there are some, and I know them, actually. I don't think, for example, Chuck Schumer, much as I disagree with him, wants to destroy America or is mentally ill. Or I think he's probably appalled by a lot of this stuff. I got to believe he is, but he's not saying it out loud. Why is that?
I don't think he's appalled, frankly. I think that the belief is that anything that will work should be used. Also, this is really important because I've devoted my life to moral thinking and moral philosophy, that you don't consciously desire. I don't believe he consciously desires to destroy the United States. Of course not. But that's irrelevant. It is what you do and not what you intend that morally counts.